Good morning. Welcome to Options Tenor. It is Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. So we're waiting on Nividia earnings tonight, and I think the market clearly knows that. And we've been in corrective mode since this week. We had a move on Monday, and that was about it. So getting some volatility back and forth. And so today I'm going to go through SPY on multiple time frames, and then I'm going to show you on the 65 what kind of price action I think that might happen with Nividia. And we're not going to go through Tesla, but we know that we did that in our members video, and Meta. So we think those are going to be strong going into the rest of the week, into next week. And we'll see where that takes us because I really think they're going to be 1 to 2 day moves on those individual stocks. And so that might counteract what Nividia is doing, or it might be a tailwind with Nividia. And so with that said, we're going to go out through the all the other indices on the 65 minute and go around the horn there. So we're doing this intraday about 11:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're interested in getting these videos intraday, consider becoming a YouTube supporter member for 99 cents. It's $4.99 for the individual analysis, which is a video we did today. So, all right, let's jump into it. We have SPY on the monthly time frame. We have 2008 top, 21 top, 24 top. We're still above the 8 EMA. This is a bullish stance, but we have negative divergence on, and this, I should bring this up right now. So we talk about negative divergence being on the monthly time frame. I'm not sure if that's the case anymore. It might be equal, Class B top there. It doesn't really matter. But we have negative divergence on the RSIs. And either way, we're looking to correct this entire move. Can we get another high? I wasn't going to go through this, but so can we form a divergence still? Absolutely. With the stickiness of inflation and the volatility of the bonds, there is a possibility. Let me make sure that I have the max out there. That we're going to go. Okay, I can't look at it on SPY. We don't have enough information on there. Oh, yes, we do. Sorry. Yes, so we're looking at the 60s. So let's go here quick to SPX. So I highlighted here for the Discord, what is possible is that we have some sort of expanding formation, okay? So this was a time of inflation, stagflation, through the 1966 to 1980, all right? And so in that time period, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, we basically went sideways around that 100 mark. Just about. You can even argue that we came back there to test it again around 100, all the way up to 1982, going into 83. And at that point, we had a bull market after that. I know the lows are way back here in 75, 74 going to 75. But really, you can draw this and show that price just didn't do anything for many, many years. Okay, so with that said, if we are in that same sort of situation, then we could have some sort of sideways move, and this is a larger degree. So we're still looking to get to this 50-60, but maybe the first move is to the 50%. Maybe it's only to the 382. I don't know. That would be the lows here. Maybe we get a new high, expand down to the 50%, get a new high, and expand to the 62%. That would be very similar to this scenario here. And with one or both of the new highs, I would suspect we get negative divergence on that monthly time frame. And that's all I want to point out there. And that would be, we'd see that in the bond action. We'd see that with inflation kind of hiking up and scaring the market, and then it's subsiding, and then we get rallies and that sort of thing. Okay. So let's move on quickly now. On the weekly time frame, possible channel. We'll see where that comes when we start to descend here. At this point, I think the move is finished. Had a throw over, and we're still technically above the 8 EMA. So we're in a bullish stance, but we have negative divergence. That's going to play out. And when it does, it's going to play out for months to years. So the first obvious spot is here, the breakout zone, to retest there. And I think that'll be more apparent on the daily time frame. But that's where our 20 moving average is. That's where the old trend line here was. We have some confluence here, so it looks like a good spot to come to, about the 560. Let's go to the daily. And just to show you where our targets, our previous targets were, at the 162% retracement of the 2021 correction. This correction here, we had retracements and went up to 127, our primary, and the 162. Had trouble, came all the way up to our target, back tested, got above. I think the first obvious spot would be that 561. It's a perfect scenario. We do have a time price relationship, but that's out the end of December, so not much to show here. Daily time frame. Trend is our friend. We have the bearish rising wedge. We formed a large one. The first one broke down. Ended up forming a larger wedge, and then a smaller wedge within. Came up to the top of the wedges, negative divergence all the way across the board. We're just in a consolidation. We're squeezing between the 8 EMA and the 20 moving average. So we do have a little bit of room to the downside if price, maybe this was a wave 4. That was our alternate scenario. And then we get down to the trend line. If we go directly from here to there, I think it's very likely that then we get a bounce, depending on what happens with Nividia. But we're at a good spot here, and here's why. We're at the 20 moving average, and we're also at the former all-time highs there. It's just a good spot for support. This previous resistance, and then you see the big time gap up, and we held on to that zone. So it's a very important spot here that we're holding. The breakdown from here, I think we get a little bit higher, and then we break down, and I'll show you those scenarios. And then our likely spot is here. Again, that's the breakout zone. Good support there, resistance. But I would consider that a zone because volatility is going to rise. And so this trend line here would be a good spot to look at, where we get some sort of wick maybe through that 565, and we head down to the, I'll just call it 560. It's the middle of that zone here. That zone. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Our pattern, our overall pattern that's playing out, I think this is an expanding pattern, and I do eventually think we get down to these lows, testing the bottom of this wedge here, this rising wedge. But we had an ending diagonal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all 3 wave moves. And let's just say, for example, for some reason we get one more high. So you see how each wave is made up of 3, A, B, C for 2, A, B, C for 3, 4, and then we're in this 5 here. So you could argue that this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we get for an A, and then we get a B in here, and then we get a C, that C wave for a 5 wave move up to new high. So either way, I'm prepared for that. I think that's doubtful, but we would clearly short that as well. We'd get back into resistance, and we'd add another divergence here. Right now, I think that we have our 5 wave move here. We have an A, B. Can't see the A. So I think we had a 3 wave move up for an A, B so far, and this is all speculative, and then that nice impulse wave for a C to end off everything with the election. So that's what we're that's what we're battling against. I think this is over. But just in case it does go one, I don't want you to, lose it and say, oh my gosh, we're going to go continue higher and higher and higher. It's very, very doubtful at that point. Let's go to 65. On the 65-minute, this is our traditional look. We're going to look at that bearish rising wedge. We got into resistance here, back tested, tried to get above, couldn't. We failed, lower high. And what I think is happening right now is getting into here's that level we were talking about. I thought that with this wedge here, that price could get down to that, test that breakout. But clearly with that 20 moving average and this support here, I doubt we're going to do that. And so I think this is an unlikely situation at this point because of the information that the market gave us from this point here. So I think we're more just in the purple zone, and that we're looking at this. Now, again, the bulls are going to say this looks like an A, B, C complete, and we're going to get a new high. Fair enough. If price keeps going and that's what happens, Nvidia is super bullish, so be it. Would this be a corrective move, in my opinion? We're going to see we had an A, B, C. For a larger degree A, we held on to the larger degree B, and we're looking for an impulse 5-wave move up. Possibly into the options expected move, close the gap, and here's how we get some of our targets here. So our main target going into this move will be the 62% retracement. Can we go higher? Absolutely. So, I mean, really, could this start moving up and get to that target today? And then we'll see what happens with Nividia earnings. Then I think we'll be very negative with Nividia at that point. Okay? Because Nividia already made its run. It's pulled back. It could continue to its lower highs at that point. But we'll see where the market ends. You definitely want to have call protection if we're down low. Okay? Just in case price moves. So we have some time clusters here going into, we have one, it looks like it's today. So maybe that's the low today and we get a high going into tomorrow. That's possible. Nvidia could gap up and this could go all the way up to, it's not unheard of. 786 is actually very common. So it could go up a little bit higher and we could even, on the traditional technical analysis, we could have that down trend line as well. So, and then this will probably draw a triangle here to where next week, we go into, maybe we get into some more price action there. But going into next week, we'll have this triangle. You argue that it goes higher, but I think it's more of a setup to the downside. So we'll look for a deep retracement if Nvidia is bullish, okay? But either way, we think Meta and Tesla are likely to pull the market up. Now, so I'm going to get rid of the alternate scenario, and now we're looking at this being a 1-2, and then we're looking for a wave 3 lower eventually. Get those out of the way, and 1-2. And so wave C, probably going to end in some sort of cluster here. Could be high, could be lower at the 62, but we'll certainly, after we get above this high here, we'll certainly start adding in, I already started adding in puts at that point, and we'll start staggering them in, and then taking off some of our profits from Tesla and Meta and putting those into some of our puts as well. And you see I already have projected. This is just a projection. Just if we get to the 62% retracement, then we're looking at around 567 for our wave 3. And then on a higher degree, we'll still have a wave 3 and a 4 and a 5 to go as well. But if it retraces deeper, then we'll move our wave 3 in the white, the lesser degree, and that might be 570. So 570 looks like a good spot, and remember I pointed out 570 in the daily time frame for that to go to. So 565 and 560. So that would allow room for this 3, 4, and then you get another degree 3, 4, and then probably wave 5 ending at that 560 zone that I was talking about. Here's 565, but it could be 560. Okay, so the structures have to play out fully with this structure and this structure. The Qs. So the Qs, again, when price action was happening this morning, I got on a little late. We saw that it got back to this trend line. I didn't think it was going to break it. It's just there to scare people. Same thing's happening, a 1-2, 1-2 setup. And clearly this was holding on the 200 moving average here in the trend line. And then, so yesterday we had an ABC, and I still think we're going to close this gap and possibly even test the top of this trend line again to make sure that the fake break is real and head lower. And so what we're looking at was the 382 retracement there. If this was a wave 3, we didn't tag it here, left some unfinished business, got above it, and just kind of held. It didn't appear to be a wick to where we're rejecting off the 382. So this left some a new pathway to higher prices, okay? So that's how I look at this. So now I was thinking in my head A, B, C. For a higher degree A, we already got B that brought us back to the trend line, and also to the 62% retracement. I know there's a wick underneath, but that A retraced to 62, held it with a wick, and now is going to wave C, a larger degree wave C. And so we have these retracements. I'm going to take that out of there. And then we have now our traditional retracements from top to bottom. Here's the 62. If price wants to go higher and test that uptrend line that I was talking about, the 786 is around the 510. And so if Nividia is bullish, I think we'll likely see a deep retracement. If not, you know, these retracements lower are very typical at the 507. And how do I get these? These are extensions here from A to bottom of B, and then you have your 100% is at 506, and that's right in our zone. Or a deep retracement could tag the 512, and that would create a downtrend line here as well, and that would be a triangle again ending off the week, not knowing if price is going to go higher or not. I think that's how they're going to leave us hanging here. So Nividia could start to be negative and start heading down while Tesla continues up with other stocks perhaps. But we might end up just like this into next week. We'll see. We have Friday to go. Doesn't have to. Maybe we just leave tomorrow. We end up here, and then Friday we break down. That's all possible. But this will be the triangulation, the equilibrium that we're getting ourselves into. And it could test all the way back up to that downtrend line. So keep that in mind. I'll keep these here just for observation into tomorrow. And much weaker SMH broke down, and then possibly is just doing an ABC, much more shallow and back testing. And so Nividia could be strong here, back test and head lower from there. So this is an objective short as well, close the gap. And not, I mean, that's really weak, but that's typical, right? So your retracement from top to bottom here, if this is a 1-2 setup, is likely to get to that 246 to 250. 246 to 250, I can take that out. 246 to 250. Look at that. So you got room to spike here, and that's a good resistance area as well. And that's the 200 moving average. But 248 right there would be the back test, and you could easily get a spike through there. And that's it. That would be the 50%, I believe. No, 382, in between the 382 and the 50%. And that would be very weak, and that would lead the market to the downside. IWM. IWM looks the same. Just an A, B, possible C with a 5-wave move down. So, IWM can help keep the market up. If it wants to have a deep retracement, it could help keep the market up for the rest of the week. And same with DIA. If the market wants to hold into like an inside week indecision candle, then that would be the way to do it. Same thing. ABC for deeper retracement going into the rest of the week. And then the VIX. The VIX really looks like it wants to go. It's really setting itself up. So after we had this large structure here for an A, complex B, and then we had a C that made a lower low and got to the gap area. Now we're looking at structure starting to form here. And with tomorrow being bullish, if it is, we should see a lower pullback. I don't know how low that will be, but something will set up here. And then we should start breaking this downtrend line. We start breaking this downtrend line, and that's going to be, I think price is going to take off pretty harsh at that point. Okay, so not a whole lot, just building some structure. Maybe this just an ABC looking structure here, and then we go to possibly the 15 and much higher. So we'll just keep an eye on the VIX while this is happening. If the VIX, it already made a 10% move here, so it's saying there's going to be a bounce in the market to the upside. It's just everything signaling a little bit higher for the market and for the retracement, and I think that's what's going to happen. So I don't know how Nividia is going to do it, but I think that Meta and Tesla are going to be strong during it. Thanks for joining us here at Options Center. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. We'll see you soon.